If you ever need a babysitter, really.
She was the captain.
No, seriously. She's got her little whatever. You get. It's like a certification.
Special. That's the sign.
Yeah, we gotta start.
All right, welcome. 6:30. Welcome to, what are we doing? Sign and things. All right. Welcome to the April 22nd meeting of the Averill Park Board of Education. If everybody could rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Refuge reports. Where's everybody?
Outside in beautiful weather at the
Thank you.
games.
Games.
All right, good evening. A short report this week. So, and Matt has really been spearheading this effort, but as you probably remember, we were contracting with 3 sites for our UPK, Universal Pre-K program. And for the upcoming year, we plan on using all of them again. Unfortunately, with Sacred Heart closing, we're only able to offer spots at 2 locations, which reduces our number of available slots quite a bit, right, from 81 to 63. We tried to do some work there. We tried to get this together, but we're unsuccessful for a variety of reasons. So in the end, we are going to have a smaller number in our UPK program, is the short version of this. We've been communicating, I know, with the providers and with families. Obviously, families that were not selected for the lottery were disappointed, but we thought that we wanted to make sure you were aware of it as a board. We did what we could, but the things beyond our control. Again, from a state aid funding point of view, it'd be nice if the per pupil expenditure was higher. We've been able to potentially then bring it in-house, or maybe entice others to become a vendor. But that gap is pretty significant. And the districts that have brought the UPK in, they are paying out of their general fund to keep that program running because it doesn't pay for itself. It helps, obviously, and that probably was the intent, but for a district like us right now, we do not want to take that on. So that's just the UPK update on that. And again, Matt has been the spearheader of this and appreciate his work on that. That is the entire report. And our video. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
There's a lot going on considering that the time was great. Hey, for the acronym challenge, what does CIM stand for?
Computer integrated manufacturing.
Cool.
I stumped him.
Almost there. I would never have gotten that, but that makes total sense. All right, thank you. This is our first public comment period for the evening for items on the agenda. I have no blue sheets, so we'll just keep going. I just need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 7th, 2025 meeting. Jess, D, and then Megan seconds. Any comments, questions? Approval of the minutes? Okay, hearing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written? Okay, we have 6 yes, any against, any abstentions, with Adam abstaining was the sole abstainer. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, business, personnel, and special ed, items 5, 6, and 7. Lauren and then Megan, or they? No, we're
All up
and
simultaneously.
Okay, it is on the table. Any discussion? For the consent agenda, Jess?
I just wanted to thank Todd Gordon and Nancy Ryan for their years of service to the district, and we wish them the best in their retirement.
I also just wanted to thank no, never mind. That is. No, I just actually want to thank our election officials. It's a long day, and we appreciate it. It's her job.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda? That is unanimous, thank you guys. Okay, we have some action items. 8A, I need a motion to approve Averill Park School District BOE cast vote for the election of Mr. Edmund Brooks of Columbia County District of Residence, Ichabod Crane, for the member of the BOCES. Okay, did I say BOCES? The BOCES, Rensselaer, Columbia County BOCES. Lauren first, Jess Z seconds.
I have a question, because I couldn't find it in their documents. 4 people for 4 seats? Okay, thank you.
Run for something, anybody? Anybody? Okay. Jess, do you have something? Okay. All right, hearing no further discussion, all those of approving the election of Mr. Edmund Brooks to the BOCES Board of Education. Okay, that is unanimous. 8B, I need a motion to approve the APBOA casting his vote for the election of Mr. David Finch of Green County, the Greenville Central School District as a member of the board, BOCES board. So Adam first, Lauren second. The discussion on Mr. David Finch. I believe he's an incumbent.
They all are.
As the other folks are.
They all are.
I have a more generalized question, because I happened to notice that all 4 folks are incumbent and all 4 folks are of Columbia County. And then I was looking at the one's from Green. I think my broader point is I was curious where everybody on the board is from and if Rensselaer County or anybody even local to our area has representation. Are they from here?
Those 3, not from Averill Park, but those 3 are Rensselaer County that I know of. I think
Okay.
Mary Daly is
I think
Rensselaer County too.
Troy, somebody's Troy.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
Mary Morrow Giroux is Troy.
Yeah.
Frank Swack is Steventown.
Okay.
And John Hill, I think is Rensselaer County too.
I just was curious.
I know, I was thinking
how
the same,
makeup was
I thought
because-
the same thing, and they really don't do a good job giving you that information.
I mean, it is worth saying that if anybody is interested, that's.
in our spare time.
We all
It-
are.
I mean, I do
So
that.
understood.
I mean, other, you know,
That's one of
to the throngs who are tuning in on the live stream.
Uh-huh.
You know, I would take some Averill Park representation on
Yeah,
both these.
cool. All right, well, thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving Mr. David Finch? Okay, that is unanimous. I need a motion to approve that the APBOE cast its vote for Mrs. Nadine Gazzola of Columbia County for the BOCES Board of Education. Adam first, Lauren second. Any discussion? I believe she is the current president of their board right now. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Nadine, sorry, Nadine Gazzola, okay? That is, Michelle, did I see? Either way, okay, that's unanimous. And I need a motion to approve for the AP BOE casts its vote for the election of Melanie Spock of Columbia County to the BOE, the BOCES BOE. Lauren and Adam, seconds, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Melanie Spock to the BOCES board? Okay, that is unanimous, correct? And then, what's that? What's that like start? Yeah, it's kind of long and process. I need a motion to approve the board of the BOCES of Rensselaer, Columbia, and Green counties authorized to expend the sum set forth in the 2025-26 tentative administrative budget document received in the amount of $7,461,009. I need a motion to put that on the table. Lauren and Adam seconds. Discussion on the budget. Megan?
Jess,
or
I do
Jess?
too.
See first?
I just, when Dr. Cruz was here last year, I said we would expect relief next year. I voted for the administrative budget last year, and I said we need relief. And once again, Averill Park finds themselves in a hole, $1.6 million that we had to, and thanks to our great team we have here, we were able to come up with a decent budget. But this administrative budget is up only 2.8%, but if you take out the OPEB, it's up 3.15%. The OPEB is other post-employment benefits, which I don't know why they continue to do this after 10 years, but so I'm just really disappointed that they have not been listening to their constituents needing relief, and I can't believe that we're the only school district in the BOCES that is facing, again, a negative gap, so.
I will echo Jess on her disappointment in the admin budget. I will also call out, because I was scouring through this document, and I do see reductions in expenditures for a lot of instructional, their CTE instruction. It looks like they're cutting almost $2 million. The widely regarded programs, thank you very much, the widely regarded programs that our students benefit from and participate in, those programs appear to be being cut. I looked all through and could not find rationale for why those expenditures were going down, and yet the audacity to put forth an increase in admin budget, it just seems pretty tone deaf, if I'm honest. And I don't understand why they would put this forth with no explanation for the rationale. It's a lot of information about the benefits of their programs, which we don't disagree with, but there's no, and then when you look at the numbers, you're like, great, but you're reducing career and technical education. This year's budget was 14,115,000, and next year's budget is 12,135,000, give or take.
Well, adopted, adjusted.
Well, that's what I was.
Right, it was adopted and then adjusted up to 14 million, and now for next year, we're looking at 12. So with no explanation on rationale, I have a hard time supporting. I don't really see what they're doing as really giving us the same level of kind of like, where are we getting, like, where's the bang for our buck? I would like to understand, because we put a sizable amount of our money towards their admin budget, and I don't like it.
Can I actually ask a question that kind of bounces off that?
Yeah.
Because I might be, so I thought that I read, and maybe Carrie knows it's not put you on the spot, but is that the adjusted budget, so they make projections on what the instructional levels are going to be and either they hit the mark or they don't hit the mark. Is that where, because when I was looking at that adjusted budget, and my assumption was that, you know, they don't know right now what their enrollment in certain instructional formats is gonna be now. And so they make a projection. So Megan, that was my assumption, was that the 14 ended up, not that I'm excusing, just so we're clear, but just, this was me trying to understand, that they made a projection, the enrollment or the need was greater, so they had to adjust up, but their tentative budget now is an adjustment, is a projection back down. Because there's, again, they don't know if that enrollment is gonna go back up to a 14. Am I, A, explaining that in a way that makes sense, and B, am I completely?
I would call foul on that, and here's why.
Well, hold on, hang on,
Yeah.
I just wanted to, just from Carrie, if
Yeah.
I'm getting the mechanic, I just wanna make sure I understand the
Yeah.
mechanics. That was how I interpreted it, and I mean, since you bring it up.
Yeah,
I can't speak to what the difference in the couple $1 million between the adopted to the adjusted is, because I'm not sure what has made up that difference. It may be some of that, but I can't definitively say that that's something that, I know that more likely for special education, because sometimes they add or subtract classes based on like enrollments too. But I can't for CT, I can't really speak to that.
So so maybe I could probably infer more from the language in the budget than was actually. Okay, sorry, back to you, Megan.
so there's 2 points to my perspective that could, and my perspective is based on my experience, so if my assumptions are incorrect, someone is welcome to correct me. But in my experience as a parent, going through school years, people and like elections for the coming year and all, we've gone through and made our elections for what programs our kids are gonna participate on. We've already done that. That's already been all finalized as of well before this was due to be proposed to come for us to vote. So you would think, A, they would at least have prospective numbers from the participating districts on what enrollment they would have. Also, I find it extremely hard to believe that they can reduce back from the adjusted budget. So the adjusted budget overall for 24-25 was 112 million. The overall projected or tentative budget is dropped back to 105 million. And I'm going, well, wait a second, we're looking at our budget and we're seeing increase in cost of everything across the board. We're struggling to fill our budget deficit because of the cost of special education increasing and all of the instructional things going up and all of the insurance costs going up. And I'm trying to figure out how it is that they're projecting a tentative budget of 105 million, that it's not a complete bait and switch. That, oh, well, we're projecting a reduced budget for you, but then we're gonna send you a bill on the back end because the adjusted budget turns out to be more than what we projected. And I'm reading, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there just doesn't seem, I'm missing, there appears to be gaps here. Adam, you're a numbers person, please feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong.
I don't know how it works, honestly, what the law is around their adjusted budget.
But does it, so if we're gonna take just 24-25 and say, okay, well, so the adopted budget was 102 million and the adjusted budget was 112 million, the participating districts make up that difference? How does that work? Please help me understand. Because I think we've discussed this in the past, but I'm not sure I'm remembering it correctly. And for the benefit of the folks watching at home, when they adjust the budget by $10 million, which is what they did this year, who pays that?
Well, as long as I've been in this position, I've never been given a bill at the end of the year from any BOCES that I worked in making up. Sometimes it's adjusted because people add services throughout the year. So when I do, like right now, we're doing our initial service request, and we're putting in our initial things that we want to buy from BOCES. But then through the year, people can add services. And as they add those services, you get added on as you participate in things. So that could be some of what the fluctuation is like. A lot of times, equipment purchases, we do ours sometimes in May, sometimes in December. I don't put those in when we do our first initial request. So people do add things on. Sometimes special education classes change and people get a new student admitted, so the special education goes up for that tuition. So there's different things that can happen through the year as people add services, but I've never at the end of the year been given a bill saying, here, you owe this amount of money because we're under, our revenues are under our expenditures. Not saying that couldn't happen, I don't know what would happen if that was ever the truth, that they were ever upside down. I've just never had that. Typically we get a small little refund the following year from BOE services.
So are we to assume that that variance is aidable?
Depending on what people are purchasing, probably BOCES aid and or excess cost aid.
And in your experience with a budget of that size, is a $10 million variance typical?
It's 10%.
It's high, but again, BOCES works a little bit different because people purchase services. Like we've got a budget at the beginning of the year, we're fixed to that budget, but they can keep amending their budget as people continue to request services from them throughout the year. So it depends on what people are requesting from them.
And also to keep our eye on the administrative budget.
Yeah. Our cost to the administrative budget is sizable, and I'm uncomfortable with the continued increase, and I agree with Jess, I don't think they're listening to us or giving appropriate credence to the feedback.
I have a random question. You guys might not know, but what capacity do they assist with the pre-K program? They have their own, separate from UPK? If you don't know, it's fine too. Just curious.
They do run a separate program. You'll see that they'll have classrooms set up in area schools, but they are BOCES rooms within that school. So that's their capacity to do it themselves. We looked into that, the
Like at
cost.
George Washington?
No, in other school districts. The cost for a classroom we would have had to incur local costs in order to fund them.
So we would have to pay them to like tie into our UPK program.
Yeah,
George Washington's a school for special education students. This would be, I think, it'd be like if we had a room at Post and Kill. We weren't using 2 rooms because we had extra space. We could contract out, bring a vendor in. They would be a potential vendor who would do it. So they'd have a pre-K class in Post and Kill or in Miller Hill. That's how they run.
And so that would be, something like that would cost us more than what we're being funded for.
correct. Yeah, we
Which is
get
why
a
nobody wants to
per
do it.
student allocation from the state. So every student that we put in UPK, we get a fixed dollar amount. So that if you multiply 18 times that fixed dollar amount, it comes out to, I think it's roughly about $107,000 is what we can support for a classroom. Their cost for a classroom in even one of our schools would exceed that cost, so it would cost us money out of pocket.
It's interesting.
As Jim said, it's difficult. UPK classrooms, you have to have 2 adults in. So if you think about the cost of paying for a teacher and an aide and benefits associated with it, so we do that at that per pupil allocation. So that's what's holding us back.
Right. It just seems like it's like a great program and then it's just not, obviously we know this because we were at the Capitol fighting it, but it's all frustrating. The whole thing is frustrating.
And it's been an ask to increase the funding per pupil. Our dollar amount is fine. If there was less strings attached, again, correct me if I'm wrong, you're much more in the weeds on it. If the dollar amount is fine, but we're able to allocate it differently, then that'd be fine. But we're not able to do that, it's per pupil. So you have that gap no matter how you run the program. Other districts have, I don't know how many offhand, but some have just taken that as part of their general fund. We have never been in a position to do that because we've been in cutting mode where we weren't going to add, say, $50,000 or $100,000 in general fund expense to the UPK program. Whereas maybe it would have cost, twice that or whatever to do it without the state aid. We still have never decided to take that on.
So my thought is that
we know that early education, the value and the importance of it, and we're going to lose a portion of our students having access to that. And how, I guess, like cost benefit analysis, like how is that going to set us back for the kindergarten program in the future, right? Saddens me that we can't seem to find a partner that, again, well, it saddens me that the state will not fully fund it, but also that like a partner like BOCES wouldn't find a way to make it work or meet us at the table or something like that if we truly are about the fundamental value of education and students. Like an ounce of prevention is better than 10 pounds of cure. So if we nip it in the butt in the beginning, we're setting our students up for a greater success in their future and not chasing our tail down the road and then spending the money. I know you guys have done what you can, but that really kind of is disheartening that there's not a way to work together on that.
And I think from the state's point of view, it's sort of like a little bit disingenuous in terms of how much they're funding, because they know a portion of that is not being used. Right, so they could give us a 20% increase in UPK funding, but they don't change the per pupil amount. In the end, they know there's gonna be leftover funds. Multiply that by the 750 districts where, in some cases like us, not using it. It's a little bit of, we're funding it, but we're really not.
Right. They're tying your hands.
I'm gonna piggyback again, Michelle, if you don't mind. But just, from a, again, mechanic standpoint, does, like BOCES, I guess maybe the turnkey would be the expression, like, if there was some sort of adjustment in that UPK funding, if there was some kind of relenting of that mass, some sort of adjustment, is BOCES kind of in a turnkey sort of position where, as opposed to somebody who's like, I'll start a pre-K thing from scratch and I've got to find a place, I've got to get licensed. My costs are going to be higher, my startup costs, but BOCES doesn't have that. Is BOCES really in a sort of a turnkey?
Well, they hold all of the licensing already.
Yeah,
Because
it's already
that was my point,
like-
like they don't have to start the program, they
Yeah.
have it. They,
How-
why
how
can't
much-
they need it?
How turnkey is that, where it would be really just a matter of them, like if we did have a space, or if, we could say, look, find a space and we have the kids for you. Again, this is me kind of hoping somebody's watching this live stream and will go lean on, whatever legislator we can to say, like, we want to do this, the parents want it, the kids don't know that they want it. And Michelle, you're spot on, right? An ounce of prevention is worth like a gajillion, and you can go do, there's big fancy consulting firms who've done the math on this and what it saves in health outcomes and stability, financial state. It's a lot. But does BOCES have that kind of capacity expansion? That's easy if we said, hey, next year.
Honestly, if the allocation changed, this is totally speculation on our part. I think we'd be better off doing it ourselves. I think we're in a position now that we weren't a few years ago, better understanding of what our pre-K needs are. We've worked with our community partners in our own UPK program to figure out instructionally what we're looking for when kids come here. That I think we probably, if we had more money allocated per student and could do it in-house, that would be our best avenue. BOCES is capable of doing a turnkey. They have it in many schools, and I'm sure if we said, hey, we've got 2 or 3 rooms, we could turn that over to them. But I think if we had that money to do that, we'd probably be just as likely to want to do it ourselves.
And then I'm just gonna, thanks, Matt, I'm gonna riff off that and like dial it back into the BOCES budget that we're talking about. Adam, did you have a question? Did I miss?
Around the BOCES budget, so when you dial back in.
This is me dialing it back into, no, it's all connected, Michelle, right? It really is. And it's worth saying that would be, there's the education, and there's the service side of the BOCES budget, and there's the admin side of the BOCES budget, and that's the only thing that we're voting on tonight is the admin piece, just for clarity's sake for who's ever watching. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
I want to check my understanding on the way this vote works. So we're just one district voting on it. And essentially, whether it's passed or not, is it like total members across all districts or districts? Or like what happens if we vote against this?
You were the only district that voted against it last year.
Sure, well, Jim, do you want
So it passes.
to? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I believe we were the only district that actually voted down. I honestly don't know if it's number of members. I don't believe so. I believe it's component
I think it's
districts.
only district.
So the case is 22, so they would need 12 to approve it. So-
Right, and so my thoughts on it are that the whole adopted budget, adjusted budget thing confuses me because I don't know which is real to play off of. My assumption is that the adopted budget is what they adopted, but the adjusted is the actual expenses that they're projecting. So that's what I'm working off of in terms of what reality is currently. If I look at their fringe benefits, they're up almost 15% year over year. And inflation as of end of December was 3%. And they're giving us about 1.4% increase overall. So I think they're trying to do what they can to manage it. I think they can do better, but I think it's reasonable.
Adam, can I and maybe Karen, again, so I pour off, so the way that they set up their brochure, I don't know, what is this, report, brochure, whatever, tentative budget layout, is they break it down in a number of different ways, which is, I feel like at turns helpful and also at turns like confusing, because it's like, which piece of information was I looking at? But to my eyes, what you're talking about, the sort of adjusted, like the post-adoption upward adjustments, look like there's some in the administrative, not an insignificant amount in the administrative budget, about 300,000. This is looking backwards, the 24 to 25. But the bulk of that 10 million is in the educational side or the instructional side, which we don't have power to vote on, so like, yeah, which we don't have power, just, so like I was reading it right. That it's really that top line, when I say that top line, there's like, 7 different graphs. 7 point, so it starts out at 7.257, ends up at 7.55. They're projecting 7.46. Maybe optimistically that they won't get back up to the 7.55. Everyone's seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I get what you're saying, and I understand that we're only voting on the administrative, but I'm a big picture person, so I take the full view of everything that's going on there and everything that they're doing. Where we're talking about, so if we're just talking about the administrative, last year, the adopted budget that we did not support was adopted at $7,257,451. The adjusted budget, the actual outlay of expense was $7,558,015. That's obviously more than what they had planned for. I think if we were to go back historically, there is a consistent adoption low, outlay higher, and it feels disingenuous to me for them to present us with a sort of dialed back tentative budget when all of our own research about our own budget process is telling us that it's not gonna work. And to add insult to injury, the parts that we don't vote on, but are still parts that will affect our students, is an almost $2 million reduction in CTE program funding. That's further down if you go through it. It's a big flashy thing, but if you look at the granular numbers, it looks like they're reducing funding for the educational programs, the actual piece. I struggle with this because I feel like it's a very well-marketed sales program, and as someone who sells for a living, I'm seeing cracks. I struggle with it. And when they come and they talk to us, they can't even give us a straight answer. I'm a straight shooting person. I'm just gonna tell you how I see it, and I don't like what I see.
Any more discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the Board of the BOCES of Rensselaer, Columbia, and Greene counties is authorized to expend the sum set forth in the 2025-26 administrative budget document in the amount of $7,461,009. All those in favor? I'll give them. For trust. Okay. All those against?
Sam's yes.
Yeah, I can make. Okay, that is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Jesse through Michelle. Any abstentions? Lauren abstained, 1 abstention. So that fails. Thank you, guys. Okay, whoops. Item 9 is just informational,
Can I make a comment on
Yep.
that?
go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Tony Armlin and Saratoga Project Management for their keen eyes on keeping this project, keeping watch over this project. They've done a standout job, and they're really helping us keep our costs down and do more things. So I think they're totally worth having it as our owner's representative. So thank you to them.
Doors open.
To that point, Jesse, they have done a great job in representing the district. Tony and I spoke this week, and I asked him to come present at the May meeting. So it's been about a year since he was here. I think we talked last about the referendum. So he's gonna come and kind of do a little bit of a review of what's happened in the past year, a little bit of a talk about this coming summer, which is gonna be very, very, very packed, and then sort of what's on the horizon as we go from the 2020 to $39.20 million projects and then beyond that. So a little bit of a kind of past, present, and future of what we're looking at with the projects we've done and where we're heading, so.
That's gonna be a fun meeting. I'm really having like another joke.
And some curriculum renewal. So we have one
It's
in,
gonna
one
be-
in May and then 2 in June. So we'll get back into presentations post-budget, hopefully post-budget.
Hearing from us. Awesome. Thanks. All right, anybody else? That's our second public comment period for items not on the agenda. Still have no blue sheets. Board member reports. Over to you, Lauren.
I don't have anything to report in terms of any of the committees that I'm on, but just to say, like to my fellow board members, I appreciated the conversation about commitment to early education. I know that we've had a lot of conversations about, the tough cuts that we've made, how that impacts who and where we allocate that. So I appreciate further discussion and thought about that. And just in terms of as a board member, also looking at, to Michelle's point of what does that do for then our incoming kindergartners, highlighting the risks to programs like Head Start and early intervention, which are also under significant strain, and have been even prior to this administration's proposed cuts. So that is on the forefront of my mind, and discussing too as a board, how we move forward with those conversations and additional considerations for the needs of young children. That's all I have.
I'm good. We didn't meet, thankfully, so little chaotic right now. But I do appreciate you guys working through the UPK stuff. That is super important to me with 2 young children and seeing the difference in
one having that program available and one not having that program available. Granted, everybody could still be different, but it has been a tremendous help for my youngest, seeing him in kindergarten. I think it's really excelled him. I have nothing to report.
I just want to thank you guys for holding on the fort last meeting with the budget vote and everything when I wasn't here. I did watch the video, thanks, Bree. And, so I was kind of there, but late. That's all, thanks.
I just, as we go into the approaching budget vote, I want to thank the folks in the community that reached out to me individually outside of this body to engage. I think, it's important to engage with people even when they're coming at you from a place of criticism. Everyone is entitled to their perspective, and as long as we keep the communication open, then we should be able to have a balanced discussion and walk away understanding each other better. And I am happy to continue doing that, and I appreciate everybody that has engaged with me in that way. Looking forward to the last quarter. This is the most fun part of the school year. All the good stuff happens in the spring. As we go into the summer, all the fun stuff. So really looking forward to seeing the kids get to shine and all the good stuff that's coming. So thanks.
I think Amelia would probably disagree about the regions. But she'll survive. It's okay. Yeah, I don't have much except to say that that's, there's a vote coming up, budget. The best thing that we can do for our community is support our school system. And we are so lucky to have the leadership team and the staff and crew, I call it really crew, that we have. I said, it's not luck, it's actually not luck. I don't know why he's got it. It's very deliberate. And so I just appreciate you guys. And again, like to the community, who's ever watching this, don't be a stranger, not just to us, but again, we have two legislators who really fight on our behalf very well and succinctly, and I appreciate them. And, things change slowly, but the more people who are not us, no offense, guys, but again, I'll say this again, the more people who are not us pick up the phone, call the governor's office, call our legislators, Scott and Jake, they want to hear from more than just us. The more than, we can, the arguments made today in favor of UPK is just, this is indisputable fact. The research is it's rare to have ironclad research, and what Michelle was talking about really is there. So engage. I know it's a nice night to be out, but tomorrow morning, call legislators, call the governor's office, and if we can pick at these little pieces. I don't know that we're going to get a windfall, but we'll get something. And so don't be a stranger to us or to the broader system. That's all. That's all I got. All right. I believe I see a motion to adjourn. Adam, 90 seconds. All those in favor of adjourn? That is unanimous. Nice job, guys. It's almost 7:15.